What's up everybody, Dethwar here. Today we are talking about Pirate Software. Now, I was not going to talk about Pirate Software because his career is already over. I mean, he's lost over 100,000 subs from his main YouTube channel. His Twitch viewership is in the toilet. This man is pretty much as dead of a career as you could possibly get at this point. So bad, in fact, that there's more dramas now surrounding him than I could possibly explain. And everybody else has already talked about it. But he finally managed to get himself into possible actual legal trouble by possibly committing consumer fraud. So we are going to be diving into a video from Atozy about that today, because I love watching people possibly go to jail for their stupid actions. So that is something I personally can get behind following. Okay, but in all seriousness, I just want to point out for those of you who don't understand why this man got in the heat that he got into. Pirate Software got into all of this trouble because of an initiative called Stop Killing Games, which was going to stop developers from being able to sunset or basically destroy games that people had already purchased. The idea was get enough signatures, get it into the EU Parliament, and try to make it so that they would have to give the games over to third parties if they decide they no longer want to continue to update and support the servers for those games, because otherwise you're basically just renting the game. You don't actually own it. If the developer of said game at any point can come in and just be like, yeah, I don't feel like supporting this anymore, let me just press a button and make it so you no longer have access to it, which actually recently happened with a video game. I don't remember the details of it. You can look it up if you want to later. It's really not that important. The point is, it inspired this entire initiative. And this initiative was then derailed by Pirate Software coming out and lying about it. You see, Pirate Software came out, tried to argue that this initiative would require game developers to completely alter the platforms of existing games while live, which is not something that it was asking for, and that it would essentially tie the hands of developers into having to continue to support games that could potentially be losing them money or something like that, which is simply not the case. That's not what this was asking for at all. It was asking for developers to sell the IP to somebody who would continue to support said game, which ultimately is great. I remember back in the day when I was younger, when I could just stick a game into a PlayStation 2 console and all the content was there. There was no DLC. I could just play the campaigns and stuff. Man, it was such a simpler time. Anyway, enough reminiscing. Pirate Software basically lied about this entire movement, then railed against it, tried to tell people not to sign the petition, and then said that he had nothing to do with why people weren't signing the petition, which then made people even more upset because he openly told people not to sign said petition. So now we're here. There is so much more drama than that. That is just the big one that got him in the hot water. There's drama with his game Heartbound, the code for Heartbound being bad, his career being in question, how long he worked at Blizzard even was in question. I mean, 6.5 years instead of 7 years. What he did at Blizzard, that he wasn't a dev, he was a QA, and that he, when he worked for the government, he didn't actually hack like he claimed. He was sending phishing emails and all this. There's so much stuff here. It's ridiculous. It's like never ending. I will make videos on every individual drama if this video does well. If this video does not do well, then I will not be making another video on Pirate Downey Jr. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into Atozy's video on the subject and see if we can get a little bit of insight on whether or not this guy is gonna go to prison. Let's find out. First, I gotta move my little VTuber guy though, so just give me a little second here. Oh, by the way, Atozy video linked down in the description, obviously. Check out and support the original creator after this video. Thanks. Okay, let's get into it.
This streamer has been destroying his career over the last few months, as for some reason, there's just like this massive disconnect between his audience and the internet and him.
Oh, and there was also some drama about World of Warcraft. I don't care. I play RuneScape, so I'm not going to discuss that. Tectone thinks that he was in the right. I have no idea. I personally don't care.
Might have just put his career in jeopardy by breaking Twitch's terms of service and potentially committing fraud. And I mean, overall, this has just been one of the craziest domino effects of nothing burgers that I've seen in a long time. But as usual, he doesn't even understand why people are frustrated with him to begin with. Essentially, what's been happening to his career over the last few months is death by a million cuts. There is no massive drama or controversy that has really caused all of this. It's rather...
Well, yes, there was. It was Stop Killing Games. I mean, that was the massive drama that started all of this. I mean, I would think Atozy knows that, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that was really where all this started. I mean, Nux kind of prophesized this like 6 months ago, but still, I personally didn't even know who this guy was before Stop Killing Games. And that was where I learned of him from. And then I just saw this man's entire life explode in front of the entire world. Even his own father recently called him out on stream for him not saying happy birthday to him. It's like, come on, man. How do you not say happy birthday to your own dad? Like, that's pathetic. Like, come on, dude. You wouldn't have what you have right now if your dad wasn't who he is. Come on, man. You at least owe him that much. Some people don't think it's important, but like, if he thinks it's important, just tell him fucking happy birthday. Come on.
Rather just countless moments of him messing up and refusing to acknowledge any of his mistakes whatsoever. And then when he refuses to acknowledge any mistake, he then doubles down and tries to gaslight everyone by saying, actually, I'm the one who's right. No matter...
Actually, I am correct because I am never wrong. Actually, that's not even... Let me do a better Pirate Software impression. Actually, guys, I am correct because I could never be wrong because I worked at Blizzard. There we go.
Matter what. I mean, if Pirate Software was placed on an island with a rock and whoever admitted they were wrong first would get to leave the island, they would both be stuck there forever. So
nah, the rock would leave first.
Obviously, today we're talking about the streamer by the name of Pirate Software. And to give you a very brief backstory, he left his entire team to die in a video game where you...
Okay, I don't know why people keep bringing this up. Nobody cares about the game. Okay, I really don't care. I get he worked for the developer of this game, but I just don't care. And according to Tectone, all of the people that were playing at the time with him in this game were a bunch of assholes. And I did see the footage, and they did tell him to run, and then something about mana. I don't know. I don't play World of Warcraft. As I mentioned, I play RuneScape. So, I don't know. All I know is Sea Shanty 2 is a bop, and that this game, I've never got into it. Even though I have friends who desperately tried to get me to play this, I simply couldn't. This is like the absolute most nothing burger drama of all of the dramas that are going on with this man.
You only have one life. He constantly critiques games and their developers, even attacking a whole movement that protects older games from...
This is literally the entire reason his career is in smoke right now. This is the entire reason. Stop Killing Games is what caused the entire thing. I don't even know why Atozy decided to cover the World of Warcraft drama first when Stop Killing Games is the main thing that started all of this. I personally wouldn't even have brought the World of Warcraft thing up. I'm not even, like, if I make more videos on this, I'm not making a video on the World of Warcraft thing. This is, it's a video game, man. It's just dumb. Not saying that, I don't like playing games and stuff. I just don't see how that constitutes any sort of real issue, I mean, people do crappy stuff in games all the time. And they don't get screwed on the internet and have their entire lives ruined because they messed up in a video game. I mean, it's ridiculous. However, Stop Killing Games, totally different story. That was actually slandering an entire movement and completely misrepresenting what the movement was standing for. So that I can understand.
Becoming outdated. He seems to have some god complex he acquired because he worked at Blizzard as a website security guy. And
yes, he did do that, but he also was a QA first. Then he was website security. But yeah, he has a massive god complex. That's not inaccurate. This man really thinks that he thinks he's Christ reborn.
And also,
he also grew his hair out to try to match. I think he actually thinks he is the second coming.
By the way,
I'm not even Christian. but I can still see him thinking he's the second coming. I'm literally Jewish, which is why I'm here to end his career. I'm gonna nail his career to the cross.
Way, if you didn't know, he's definitely worked at Blizzard. Oh, and he also worked as a person who detected cheaters
Oh, did we mention that he worked at Blizzard?
in their games, which is kind of ironic considering recently he was exposed for blatantly cheating in puzzle games. Basically,
He did do that. That is another thing. That's a little... I'll give that a little bit. I don't think that's the end of the world, but it's still fraud because you're lying to your audience. He was telling his audience on stream... Okay, so there was a puzzle that was extremely difficult in some game I had never heard of that took tons of people working together forever to solve, and then he basically acted like on the day that the guide came out that people wrote, because this wasn't like the game came with a guide, like people had to make this on Reddit or something. Essentially what happened was he sat there on his phone for 2 minutes, then pretended to have a eureka moment, and then solved the puzzle. Basically, it was obvious he cheated. Okay, we're not dumb. We could tell. Okay, it was pretty apparent what he was doing. But he acted like that's not what he did, because he wants everybody to think he's some kind of god at puzzles for some reason. I mean, I don't know, man. If you go do some freaking chess puzzles or something. I don't know. Go master that. You want to prove you're a great puzzle player? Go do that. That's the hardest puzzle game in existence that I could possibly think of off the top of my head. Go do that. Go show Magnus Carlsen who's boss. I don't know. This guy really thinks he's actually Jesus, and it's shocking to me that this guy is actually... Okay, how do I explain this? There's an episode of South Park, right, where they are all buying Priuses in California and stuff, and Kyle's family moves to California, and everybody like is smelling their own farts. The smug. That is pirate software. Anyway, let's move on.
he was on his phone during the stream and suddenly went, "Oh, I know the answer." And everyone was like, "Well, is that because you Googled it, dude?" So Pirate then responded via stream and said that he did not cheat and seemed pretty taken aback that people even thought that he would ever cheat.
Why did you cheat in Outer Wilds? What? How the hell would you cheat in that game? Bro, we...
By Googling the puzzle? What do you mean? You literally did this the day the puzzle, or the answer to the puzzle, or the day after I think the answer to the puzzle came out. That's when you chose to play this. And then you were on your phone. And then magically came up with the answer to something that took weeks for people to solve. Nobody is buying it. That you are some sort of puzzle mastermind. Come on, bruh. Come on. Like, it's... I don't watch the guy, but insulting the intelligence of the viewer is not something I like doing. I like to assume that my viewers have a little more sense than that. Now, maybe I'm dumb for assuming that my viewers are not dumb, but I like to assume that you guys are intelligent enough. And clearly you are, because obviously people caught on that Pirate was cheating. This is why you can't simply lie to your audience and expect to forever get away with it. Eventually, you will get caught. And then I will make a video on you.
We played it all live on stream. Alright, bud. It's a wild-ass thing to say. What the hell?
Essentially, this dude is a...
I don't understand how that's an argument. I played the puzzle live on stream, yeah, and we could see you live on stream messing with your phone for 2 minutes before you came up with this eureka moment that got you the answer. How is that even an argument? You could do anything live on stream. I could literally cheat at any game while live. It doesn't change the fact that you cheated, because we can't see everything else you're looking at. We can't see your phone, but we could see you're on your phone. We can't see your other tabs or your other devices, but that doesn't mean you're not cheating. So I don't even understand how he thought that was an argument, but that nervous laugh definitely shows that he's hiding something.
A love child of hypocrisy and deniability.
That's a beautiful photo. I really love it. Did Pirate do this makeup himself? It's quite good. He seems like he's this must be what he does when he gets off stream every day. Just puts the clown makeup on. He's gotten very skilled at it.
Oh, and again, did I mention that he worked at Blizzard?
I was mentioning what?
Oh no, I forgot. Guys, did you know that? Did you know he worked at Blizzard? I forgot, my audience is ignorant. I better inform them again. Did you guys know he worked at Blizzard? Pirate worked at Blizzard, guys. It's very important. Guys, we got Pirate over here. He worked at Blizzard. See, nobody cares.
Watching a video that was critiquing you for mentioning you work at Blizzard so much, I literally never talk about it. When I work...
Dude, you start like every single interview I've ever seen of this guy involves his work at Blizzard. It's all he talks about, and he frames it in the most disingenuous way possible. This man straight up says, oh, I worked at Blizzard, and frames it in a way that makes it sound like he actually did development work on World of Warcraft. He doesn't frame it in a way to let you know that he was a quality assurance, basically, yeah, QA and security. Basically, QA meaning, which I'm not saying it's not an important job, but QA being that he would just play the game and then report bugs to the devs for them to fix it. The security aspect was a totally separate thing, but he did not develop at any point in his career World of Warcraft. And he will openly say, if you directly confront him about it, that he didn't do that. He was not a developer. But he will still frame it in interviews and whenever he talks about it on stream as though he worked as a developer at Blizzard, because it lends credibility to himself and allows him to sound more credible when he's talking about his own video game, Heartbound, that he is currently developing on. He has more experience developing Heartbound than he does developing any game other than that. Actually, really, I was going to say World of Warcraft, but really any game, because that's the only game that I think that he's actually ever worked on. So, I mean, and that game that he's working on has not came out after 10 years, and the code is apparently terrible. So it's pretty obvious he never did any real development when he worked at Blizzard. So the fact he brings it up is more just bragging. I feel like it's more like, you know, to make himself sound more credible, obviously, but also just the fact that he could brag that he worked at Blizzard, because, you know, it's a big game company and it sounds like a cool job. It's like, oh, so cool. You worked at Blizzard on World of Warcraft, whatever other games Blizzard makes. It's like, yeah, it's just a flex, is all it is. He's flexing. And I mean, there ain't much to flex, but he's flexing. And, oh yeah, there's also, this is totally off topic, but there is some fairly good evidence that Pirate Software fakes his voice. Just pointing that out there. He tried to say that he went through the second puberty. I don't believe it. Fairly certain he's just using a voice changer, but that's my opinion. Maybe you don't agree, but I'm just gonna put it out there. Fairly certain he's faking his voice. I don't even know why I brought that up, but I mean, come on, just listen to this guy's voice. Whose voice sounds like that? Who do you know that actually sounds like that? Nobody fucking sounds like that. Come on, man. It sounds fake. Like, it sounds like there's some sort of, like, either he's forcing it or he's using a voice changer. Like, one or the other. It just doesn't sound legit. That bothers me. Because, like, dude, why are you going to sit there and fake your voice, bro? I know, especially when your voice before this was, like, kind of whiny and annoying. Now his voice is, like, this, like, oh, so deep, sounds like he's gargling. Never mind. I was gonna say I'm not gonna say that because YouTube probably won't be too happy if I say that. So I'm gonna avoid saying it sounds like he's got a bag of stuff in his throat that isn't phallic shaped, but it sounds like he's been glazing himself to the point that his vocal cords have been affected. Anyway, yeah, I'm serious too. He really does glaze his own schlong a lot. It's ridiculous. I mean, this man has his mouth firmly wrapped around his own wiener. Now, I'm gonna stop talking about his voice. Let's get back to the video. I'm done with my ridiculous rant. Oh, God, that thing that for some reason bugs me more than the rest of the stuff. Also, did you know he worked at Blizzard?
Worked at Blizzard. I did that for Blizzard. Blizzard, 7 years, yeah. Blizzard. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Your red team specialist for...
I wasn't expecting... I wasn't expecting to say that. Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting to say that, and then there'd be a compilation of Pirate Software saying he worked at Blizzard. But he did. He worked at Blizzard.
For Blizzard Entertainment and Blizzard is having worked at Blizzard. I grew up at Blizzard.
I don't think I'm better than other people. There's a lot of people that brought that up, and it's like, I never said that I was. I think sometimes...
I just want to point out that he grew up at Blizzard because his father was one of the founders of the company, like the cinematic director. So yeah, because he's a Nepo baby. And his daddy got him the job. And he doesn't like to acknowledge that. If you try to point out the fact that Pirate Software only got his job because of his father, he's not very happy about that. He gets pretty angry. He gets pretty upset. Personally speaking, I would love it if I had a father that would hook me up with a cool position like that. But I don't have that. I'm sure most people would. I mean, let's be real. It's not exactly, yeah, okay, I should rephrase this. I don't want to rephrase this like my father's never helped me. So I'm not going to sit there and talk like that, because I love my father to death. My father is, I'm not going to act like my father isn't wealthy or anything, but like he's also the type of person to think, well, I made all my money myself, you have to do the same thing. So he is kind of the type of person where he doesn't like to just give you things because he wants you to succeed in life. So that and my life is a lot more complicated than that. I'm not going to sit there and delve into all that. It's not very black and white. So I'm not going to sit there and try to explain everything or the intricacies of this form of Jewish household, but I will simply say my father did not work at Blizzard. Therefore, I am not a second generation Blizzard employee. However, Pirate Software, did you know he worked at Blizzard?
Times the things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting. When in reality, I'm just trying to give context.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase. This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this.
Yeah.
That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro.
I saw this interview, and I like this this psychologist guy. I think that's what he is, therapist, psychologist. I'm not sure. He does these like streamer therapy sessions. Man, if I get big enough, maybe I'll totally do one of these with him. I already go to a psychologist. I know I got fucking problems, bro. Come at me, bro. Hook me up with telling me I'm a dirtbag or whatever. Dr. Phil me, bro. In all seriousness, though, Pirate Software, this is the first time, allegedly, that this psychologist has had to address somebody in the way that he addressed Pirate Software. Maybe one day we'll get there. Maybe one day we'll get the Dethwar psych interview with this guy. And then you guys can see how much of a screwed up mess I am. Anyway, moving on.
But I guess things have just got a whole lot worse, because it was like 2 weeks ago since we made a 14-minute long video discussing most of this stuff. If you thought things were bad 2 weeks ago, they've got a whole lot worse. I mean, you have dudes who've been making, 14 videos in a row on essentially everything this guy has done since then.
Hey, everybody else did that. I have made one video, and that's this video. I didn't make a series of videos. but I'm gonna if this video does well.
So, apparently a lot is going on. And we'll talk about that channel in a little bit because Pirate has actually responded to some of the allegations from that channel. But either way, Pirate has received a lot of attention in the last couple of months. And I think it's the wrong kind, not the one that he wanted, because he's lost nearly 250,000 subscribers on YouTube and over 100,000 followers on Twitch, which is absolutely insane. I mean, you would think with losses like that he would be guilty of something crazy. But instead, as I kind of hinted to previously, it's just kind of like death by 1,000.
No, I mean, he slandered a massive movement that affects a lot of people. I mean, he is kind of guilty of something there, and he's also guilty of possible fraud. So, I mean, there's, you know, actual possibilities for legal consequences there. So, I mean, yeah, he is guilty of some things, you know?
Cuts. And it's not even real cuts. It's just like paper cuts that he won't take any accountability for. So our question for today is, why did all this happen?
Okay, no, some of these cuts are not paper cuts. Some of these cuts are literal katanas that have sliced his body in half cuts. These are not paper cuts. This man's career is in the toilet. And even if he were to now come out and take responsibility for the actions that he has, you know, been complacent in doing, nobody would believe him. Nobody would even care, dude. Like, nobody is gonna come out and take anything that he has to say seriously now. They're going to completely ignore the entire situation because of the fact that he has, for this long now, pushed back saying, I am right, everyone else is wrong. When everybody is telling you that you are wrong, when literally everyone is telling you the same thing, at some point, you need to look in the mirror and come to the understanding that it's not everybody else that's wrong. Maybe it's you. Anyway, I'm gonna explain something real quick before we move on. I personally have a lot of experience with people that have struggled with narcissism. And I'm not talking, you know, like mild narcissism either. I'm talking like, oh, I'm the greatest human being on earth. Like, they think they're actually God. Actually God. Like, they actually have said they think they're God. And I understand it's a mental health condition, and I understand it's a problem people have. And no, people should not simply be attacked just because they suffer with a condition like that, even though most narcissists do not know that they are narcissists. However, in my experience, the easiest way to bring down a narcissist is to simply allow them to be themselves in front of everybody else. And if they cannot figure out that they are the ones in the wrong when shit hits the fan, eventually everybody else will figure it out. And then they'll stop propping this person up. Because when you are propping said people up, like we've been with Pirate Software, well, not me personally, but like his audience has, you actually feed into and support this. Now, there has to be some level of narcissism to succeed, I think, as a content creator on the internet, which is probably why I am a failure, because I refuse to sniff my own asshole. However, that does not mean that you shouldn't try to have some self-confidence and stuff. But when it comes to somebody like Pirate Software, though, you can see levels to it. So Pirate Software is obviously on a different level than your average content creator, because this guy thinks that he is actually a god, can never be wrong, ever. Never even fake accountability. Never even fake as though he is sorry for any of the things he has done. And I think that this is ultimately the biggest thing leading to his downfall, because when the whole stop killing games thing happened, he could have simply just came out and had just been like, sorry guys, I was wrong. I admit it. I mischaracterized the movement, or even lied about it, even if he didn't believe it, because he was bleeding numbers. It would have saved his career. He didn't do that though. And now it's too late. And he doesn't care. Granted, you may argue, well, maybe he doesn't care because he's got so much money, he can just stop streaming anytime he wants. But that's not the case, because he's still streaming. I mean, it probably is the case. Probably does have more money than he needs, but he probably could just stop streaming and probably be fine. In fact, taking a break from streaming for like a couple months and then coming back might actually be healthy and the best thing for him. He's not going to do that. However, when it comes to his actual situation with his brain, when people are feeding into this narcissistic tendency that he has, the fact that there are yes men in his audience and around him in his personal life to build him up and tell him that he is the greatest thing ever and that he's not in the wrong and that he's always right and that they'll defend him, you are feeding into his mental health issue by doing that. Obviously, there will be a point, hopefully at least, where he will hit rock bottom and be forced to recognize that he was wrong. At some point, the realization will have to hit him. Hopefully, he manages that. If not, some people in his life may have to step in and help him on that path before he completely self-destructs. Because you can't portray yourself as things you're not and think you're actually some sort of god in the public eye forever and expect nothing to ever happen when things like this go wrong. I just want anybody who still watches him to understand he does have a mental health issue here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing him, but it is pretty obvious. In my opinion, he does. And when you guys are in his chat and building him up and acting like he did nothing wrong, you guys are actually feeding into his own issue. You're feeding into his narcissistic issue that he has narcissism. You're feeding it. And that's not helping him. The best way that you could help Pirate Software right now is stop supporting him. That is the best way you can help. By the way, did you know he worked at Blizzard?
Well, this all came because Pirate Software, he was streaming on April 1st of this year and accidentally leaked a message between him and his moderator that suggests that he encouraged him to gift paid subscriptions and bits. Bits, by the way, are Twitch's currency. It's like a form of donating on Twitch. And
I just want to clear this because I know I mentioned this earlier. When I said that they were purchasing the bits through his moderator to then donate back to Pirate and trying to save the largest percent, what I meant was when you purchase these bits from Twitch, they're supposed to only be used to donate to streamers, and you buy them directly from Twitch themselves. Twitch takes a percentage of the money. So basically say I don't know what the numbers are, but let's just say you buy $300 worth of bits. You're going to get, like, I guess, $288 worth of bits to donate to people. Twitch gets 12% of that $300. Something like that. I don't know if that is quite correct, but that's kind of how it works, if you get what I'm saying. And that's what Pirate and his moderator were trying to circumvent. Pirate Downey Jr. was trying to get these bits at the cheapest rate possible because he would then have to reimburse the moderator who gave him the bits later on so that he could artificially inflate his hype train and continue to gain bits and subscribers, which is fraud because he is artificially hyping his audience, making it look like there's demand basically for something, his product, which is himself, his stream, they're basically trying to make it look like there's demand for something when there really isn't. And that's artificially inflating a product, which is, you can't do that. That's not legal to do. You can't legally lie to your audience to get them to donate to you. I'm sure other streamers have done other scummy things like that. But I'm fairly certain that that is falling in the realms of illegal. Now I might be wrong, but I'm like fairly positive that you can't actually do that without consequences. I'm fairly certain you could catch a felony for that. Now, as far as Twitch TOS is concerned, whether it's a violation of Twitch's TOS is an entirely different story that I don't know the answer to.
And I get to many of you guys, this would be extremely confusing. Why would a streamer want their moderator to be giving them money? To simplify things,
well, I mean, in most cases, for most streamers, like, for example, when we start streaming on Kick, which I'm going to probably be doing the next couple of days here, I've been wanting to do it sooner, I just haven't really figured out the best way to go about doing this just yet, but we will be doing this fairly soon. It's not that I don't have the setup and stuff, it's other things that have been getting in the way, mainly this heat wave, and HVAC related issues, timing, things like that have been a little bit of a concern. We'll figure it out. But as far as your moderators are concerned, most of the time they're just viewers. So say I have viewers on Kick that, like, maybe I'm friendly with them and stuff, but ultimately if I met them through streaming and they're like your first viewers, it's not that crazy for your moderator to donate bits, or money or whatever. That's really not crazy at all. I don't see any reason why Atozi's acting like that's weird. It is weird because in this case, the messages show that Pirate was reimbursing the moderator. And in Pirate's case, it's weird because the moderator is also his employee that Pirate gives a paycheck to. But 99% of streamers do not pay moderators. In fact, it's more likely the moderator would pay the streamer. So, not saying that always happens, obviously. That's not a guarantee. Obviously, nothing is like that is forced or guaranteed. It's voluntary on the part of the moderator that they will donate to streamers they like. That's just how streaming works. So, I don't know why Atozi is acting like this is weird for anybody other than Pirate. In Pirate's case, yes, it's weird because he's paying him. We don't even know, if I had to guess, if this guy is getting a paycheck to hit the ban button on people or the timeout button or whatever, I am going to just make a educated guess that his paycheck probably came with a reimbursement for the bits that were donated to Pirate's stream. If his moderator, wasn't outright just being sent the money beforehand to begin with. And yeah, none of this is kosher, okay?
There's a feature on Twitch called a hype train.
A hype train. Essentially, the more you get donations or gifts in a short amount of time, it raises the level of this hype train.
And on April...
Now, I want to just say, I watched that Quinio video through a Tectone video, because everybody's watching videos through videos these days, because React content is king now. But, Quinio's video... At the time, Tectone was like, oh, I don't think so. I think this is shaky. I generally agree with Tectone on stuff, but in this case, I don't agree. Maybe he was right when it comes to the Twitch TOS thing, but when it comes to the actual law, I'm fairly certain this is, this is fraud to some degree. Now, whether or not he will actually get in trouble, that's a different story.
April 1st of this year, Pirate broke a record for the longest Twitch hype train.
Last year, on April 1st, back in 2024, Twitch's hype train record smashed again by Pirate Software. And they go into detail about Pirate breaking the Twitch hype train world record, with his channel reaching level 106 on April 1st. Once the hype train was initiated, it took Hall roughly 3 hours to beat his previous level 55 world record from December, with viewers contributing 54,380 gifted subs, alongside regular subscriptions and 8.2 million bits. Likely...
That's a lot of money, bro. Man, I would be happy if I could get to the point with this channel, or you kicking stuff, mainly with this YouTube channel, where I am able to make 6 figures in a year. Pirate made it in a single stream. He did it in one day. The amount of money these streamers get is so absurd. You cannot relate to their financial state. I mean, the average person simply cannot relate to these people's financial status. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But when it comes to Pirate Software thinking he's a literal god, it definitely does not help that people are just showering him with 6 figures in a single day. Fucking Christ.
Earning Hall a healthy 6-figure sum in the process.
So why does this matter? Well, on April 1st of this year, Pirate Software went live with the intention of beating this record again, because it had been beaten by another streamer by the name of Vidal. Randomly, during his stream, he accidentally opened his Discord chat with his moderator.
I wished I could place my head between them and go full burr mode and make... What?
Uh-oh. Yeah, so as you can see, some tomfoolery was happening. Out of all the chat logs for him to open on stream, he literally opens the chat log where he's communicating with a moderator of donating money to keep the hype train going, and the mod even states which account he's donating through, called Serendipitous Bean. And then to make...
That is such a weird name for an account. I've heard the name, and every time I hear it, it's such a weird name. Like, why? What is a serendipitous bean? What is that a reference? Is that referencing something? What is this? It is such a weird name. And like, I've came up with weird names. And somehow, that name, like, my account is literally Dethwar. My name is freaking Dethwar, and that still sounds less weird than serendipitous bean. I'll serendipitous your bean. I'll flick it all over the place. Okay, let's move on.
Things worse, they try to make that account look like it's not the moderator who's donating all this money to keep the hype train going and for him to inevitably beat that record. Yeah, that doesn't look great. So now he's not only allegedly cheating in puzzle solving games, but also allegedly cheating for Twitch donation records. Now, he just responded to those allegations that were originally, from what I know, brought into the spotlight by the YouTuber Quinio. So here we're going off of screenshots that Awk20,000 took from Pirate's Discord. But here, you can see that Pirate added everyone in his Discord and said, a content creator called Quinio is continuously farming ad revenue by making false claims and drama content about...
This is a little bit off topic, but not entirely. I also just want to add that there was a clip after where Pirate, his record was beaten by Neurosama and Vidal. And basically, he accused them of cheating without accusing them of cheating. He obviously said, "Oh no, they didn't cheat. Don't take away from their record." But then he also turns around the same breath and backhandedly says that they got 19,000 gift subs from Valorant, a company, which helped them to crash the record. So in a way, he shielded himself from being culpable, but he's also still putting it out there, putting the thought in the viewer's mind that, you know, that they might have cheated. Which is scummy, in my opinion. But you can make of that what you will. I mean, you could say outright, well, he didn't say that. But it's pretty obvious what he was doing there to anybody who has any experience talking to an audience. That is something that you do to protect yourself because he knows that he cheated. So if he defends this person by insinuating that they cheated, then people can't come back on him if they found out that he cheated. But obviously that didn't work. And also, you know, it doesn't look very good when you have your record broken and then turn around and soft imply that the person that broke your record was cheating when you really were cheating. And to make matters worse, not only did you imply that they were cheating, you also well, not only take away from their achievement, but you also kind of just turned around and you slandered them in a way. I mean, you kind of slandered them by making it sound like you're a sore loser. You know, you just sound like a sore loser. There's no other good way to put it. Even though it's not outright slander, but it's like implied slander in a way. Although you can't really have implied slander. It's not really that, but we know what he means is what I'm getting at. But he definitely does just sound like a sore loser. Like, and we already know he's guilty of cheating himself, but at the same time, you know, it doesn't look good. That's what I'm getting at. It looks very bad, and if I were Vidal, I would probably not be too happy with that statement, but, you know, Vidal probably has better things to do, dealing with that neuro AI he's got going on. I don't know if, I saw a short the other day, apparently he's making no money on that. Wonder how true that is. I'd be shocked if that's true. Can't imagine that's the case, but if that is true, apparently Neuro asked why she couldn't get a paycheck, and then Vidal's answer to Neuro was basically, we pay our employees $1, and we pay you to keep your server up a crap load of money, and then we have nothing at the end of the month. And then she was like, ooh. I don't know. It was kind of funny. Realistically, though, I doubt that's the case. But in all reality, it really does make Pirate sound like a sore loser. Which, he's never going to set another one of these, obviously, because his career's in the toilet. But man, now I really wish I wish I could get big enough to crush his record. Just to do it. And then just make a video gloating about how I crushed his record. Even though I hate Twitch and I don't want to stream there. Just because it would make him so mad. And then he probably would outright accuse me of cheating, even if I didn't cheat. And I just think it would be hilarious to do. Just sheerly out of the fact. Not even because I want the money. I just want to get a reaction out of him. I just want him to get mad. That's all I want. But I can't do that because Vidal already did it. But that's all I want. I just would like him to get upset. And then go on stream and call me out. That would be what I want. Because I would just make a video right after the fact, gloating that I crushed Pirate Software's record, and then I would say he's bad at puzzle games. And that he worked at Blizzard.
Me. Recently, he claimed that Kronos broke TOS by giving bits/subs to the Giga Train in April. Kronos used his own money to do this and can do what he likes with that money. Below is some information.
Guys, I don't know what a Giga Train is, but we need an Ultra Giga Train. Let's do it. I don't even know. YouTube doesn't even have anything like that. But you know what? In the comments, Ultra Giga Train. Comment it right now. That's what we're doing today. Ultra Giga Train. Okay? Tell everybody about it. Go around just go to other videos, just tell them Ultra Giga Train is where it's at. We're going to send this Giga Train all around the internet. Probably not. Let's be real. There's no way that you guys are going to turn this into like the next anti-spiral. But, you know, it'd be really funny if you did.
With receipts about all of that to refute the false claims about the situation. The creator has changed his entire brand into Pirate Software hate content for profit, as shown in image 4. Prior to this year's April 1st Giga Train going live, I made the announcement that I would be receiving 0% of the profits.
In our reality, though, who the hell came up with Giga Train, though? It just sounds so weird. It sounds like something you'd see on, like, how do I say this in a way that YouTube won't get mad at me? It sounds like something you would see on, like, an X-type website. You know what I'm saying? You know, a Gooner site. That type of thing. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like, oh, she's getting hit up by the Giga Train. You know, that's what it sounds like. Pirate got Giga Trained. Okay.
Profits from the train, 50% would be going to the moderation team and 50% would be given to the ferret rescue. This announcement was made on March 29th, 2025, so the community was well informed of this. You can find this and attached as image 1. The total income from the Giga Train was 75,000 rounded up to the nearest thousand. This means that half of the train was 37,500 and that amount was then split 15 ways to all the staff besides me. That means each staff member received 2,500. This was announced to the community on April 9th, 2025. You can find this attached in image 2. Kronos threw 75,000 bits, 100 T1 subs, and 40 T3 subs during the Giga Train at around level 60 plus. He bought all of this in pounds, which came out to about 2,000 pounds or 2,800 bucks after conversions. You can find these transactions attached in image 3. Further, subs are not one-to-one conversion and neither are bits. The subs show up as about 68% of the overall contribution coming through, and bits are normally 82% when purchased in USD. However, doing this in pounds makes the conversion much worse. This means you are spending about 300 pounds or about $400 to get $250 in bits, which is a 62% conversion rate. So in total, Kronos spent $2,815.75 to add 1,830 to the value of the Giga Train, which was then cut in half to 915, because half was given to the rescue and split 15 ways to all staff members as $61. All staff are paid in USD and must convert to their own currency, which is another loss on top of this. Each conversion reduces the total income for any divided staff member that wishes to do this. And he sums it up with the TLDR that no, Kronos was not directed to do this. He was not compensated for this. Yes, he lost money from doing this. No, the Twitch TOS was not broken, no matter how many people try to claim otherwise. You now have the receipts and the math to prove this. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, well, what stands out for me here is why didn't he address, them purposely plotting to donate under another account than Kronos' main account?
Yeah. Who could forget about Serendipitous Bean? No, in all seriousness, though, I don't buy it. I don't count, I don't see how these are receipts. It's just his word. There's no proof here, man. Where's the proof?
To keep the train alive. It just seems dishonest for your mod to be donating under a fake account that even says in the bio that he was a friend of Kronos and not Kronos himself. And another interesting point is Quinio, he said in the comments of one of his videos that he had talked to Kronos. And here he claims that Kronos said that he wasn't reimbursed. But according to Thor's response here, Kronos would have actually received $2,500, which would make him almost fully reimbursed here. But Pirate follows up that first message with this. Now for the 1-2 punch against this BS. Quinio's Discord has people actively doxing me in it. Okay, that's really bad. His moderation team is aware of this and has been encouraging it as shown in the...
Guys, don't dox people. Come on, man. That's illegal. It's not good. Have a little more sense than that. Don't do that to people, man. Come on. You wouldn't want people doxing you. Don't dox them. Even if it's pirate software.
The images. They have also been digging into Shay and her job as a secondary attack vector. In image 1, Shelf Related, who is a mod, asks for doxing info directly. We've forwarded all of this to Discord Trust and Safety as a result. We've also banned all the users that were taking part of this from our Discord. Yeah, I mean, if this is true, that's not cool at all. No matter what you think about a creator, you should never be posting their address or work address on the internet, nor should you really have a scavenger hunt within your public Discord to try to find it. That just comes across as extremely obsessive and creepy. Now, I'm only taking Pirate's word for that here because I haven't been inside of Quinio's Discord to see what was actually going on, but if that's true, that's definitely not a good look. Then, Pirate's last message in this series of posts said, "No, Quinio, my address is not public information, and your users are distributing it on your Discord while the mods encourage it. They didn't just go after me and Shay either, they went after our moderation team too, as shown here. You cannot BS this away. Leave me and my team alone." I mean, that's fair. Pirate has plenty of public actions and statements that are free game to critique all you want, but you shouldn't be going for their addresses no matter what. And
no, like I just said, doxing, no. Don't do this stuff to people, guys. Like I said, this is bad. We don't endorse doxing here. It's terrible. I firmly stand against it, and I hope that you guys don't do that to anybody. I don't encourage people to go and hate and do all that sort of things to people. I will say that you could call people out when they do stupid stuff. I can't stop you. but don't dox people, don't harass people. You know, it's one thing to point out the bull crap, but it's a whole other thing to go and start being aggressive to people like that and trying to ruin their lives. That's messed up. Don't do that. Don't do that.
And come on, I mean, that shouldn't even be a hot take. Honestly, it's just crazy that things snowballed to this point for him, as this dude's YouTube channel and career in general is just in free fall as we speak. As I previously mentioned, he's lost over 250,000 subs.
Oh my god! I didn't even know it was that bad. I thought he only lost 100,000. I mean, that still was a lot, but like, holy crap, dude. 230,000 subscribers lost? Okay, let's be real. On YouTube, subscribers are like a vanity number. I knew he lost a lot of viewers, but oh my god, that's still a lot. I mean, subscribers don't really do anything for you. The algorithm is I mean, subscribers are important. Don't get me wrong. They're very important, and I would love it if you subscribe. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Let's up those numbers!
But the way that the algorithm is now, and the way that YouTube has set it up, I miss the days when subscriptions actually meant something, because that meant that people would actually see the content you posted. Today's day and age is different. You don't see everything. And part of that is because people have the bell turned on for like a million different channels, so they're just getting spammed all the time to their inbox with all of these different notifications. And then other times people just don't turn the bell on. They'll watch a video, and then they don't watch another video for a couple days, and YouTube doesn't recommend the channel ever again, even though they're subscribed. And then you forget they exist for like months, and then you come back later, you see it again. So that's an entirely different thing. You do have like a core audience though that will watch all your stuff. There's channels that I watch tons of content from that, you know, I don't even, like, I'm subbed to them, but I don't see the notifications. I have to manually go there and check the channel every day to see if they uploaded. And I think that's ridiculous. However, there's no complaining anymore to YouTube about any of this stuff, because you can't even tweet at YouTube because they have nothing but AI running their Twitter or X account, whatever you want to call it. So that basically means that if there is a problem, you can't really talk to anybody. And I have had experience with this firsthand on other accounts that I run. And YouTube itself has basically become a giant machine with no human input. And that's something I actually hate about the modern algorithm, is it is just designed now to feed you the same regurgitated type of content. I'm scared to make content that would be considered more unique, or things that are like not popping off in today's day and age, like to actually make like unique stuff anymore, because of the fact that the algorithm is so cookie cutter that it will only recommend you if you are appearing next to another video of the same topic that's popular. So say you're talking about like what we're doing right now with pirate software. The YouTube algorithm has essentially turned into this mess of, if you were to watch a video about pirate software, you will inevitably be recommended 10 more videos on your home feed about pirate software, which is where people now mainly go to watch content, that and the suggested videos. However, if you upload a video about an off-topic thing or something that YouTube doesn't like or isn't like super, you know, talked about all the time, something that's not being heavily searched, the algorithm will not even try to figure out where to put it. Say you upload a video on a topic that has an audience, but it's a little bit niche. If you upload that video and your channel is not already massive, even if it's massive, I've seen big channels with like a couple million subscribers that can't crack more than like 3K views on a video. I've seen channels with like a few mil of subscribers that are literally getting less than 1,000 views on every video they're posting, which is wild. But that's what I mean when I say that subscribers don't mean what they used to mean. They're still important. You still need them to monetize your channel, and obviously you need that core audience to watch, but they are not a metric to tell you how well your channel is doing anymore. Views matter. So if you guys want to know the correct way to evaluate if a channel is successful, you need to look at a channel from the perspective of how many videos a day is this guy uploading? How many views is that video getting? You don't really care about the sub count so much, is what I'm saying. So, for example, let's look at slop channels, right? a lot of people, I think that the best example of this is probably Nuxtaku. I think his channel, well, not his main channel, but Nuxanor, I would say that's the best example. The reason I say that's the best example is because even though he averages like 100K or so plus-ish views a video, up to like 150K, that doesn't matter because he uploads 2 videos a day and they're getting about the same views. Tectone, for example, uploads like 5 videos a day and gets a bunch of views. So you need to take the views from both videos uploaded that day, or however many, or in Tectone's case, all 5 videos, and add them up. That's his total views for the day. Instead of just on that one video, now they're essentially stacking it by spam posting some way. It's not really spam, but you get what I'm saying. And let's just say you make like round about $1,000-ish on 100,000 views on a video, right? So you could probably calculate in views of a video, say, let's just say somebody like Nux uploads 2 videos that day that both get a little over 100,000 views. He probably makes $1,000 both videos, probably makes like $2,000 on said videos. I don't want to out him, but like, you know, financially, it's just an example, and I could be off base. I don't know what his revenue per 1,000 views is, but that's how the system is now, and it doesn't matter that he has almost 900,000 subscribers and growing on that channel. It doesn't matter that Tectone only has like 1 million subscribers. He's still averaging, you know, 300,000 plus views a video on those 5 videos he's posting. Sometimes more or less. It depends. But yeah, it depends on the topic and if it's popular, obviously. But really, it comes down to topic popularity, how clickable your video is, your watch time, and all that stuff. All of those metrics now matter more if you're trying to do YouTube than your subscriber count. However, this is still a massive sign of hatred for Pirate Software. Losing 230,000 subscribers is insane. He has to be losing so many subscribers a day. Oh my god, let's do some quick math. Let's see how many subscribers a day he would have to be averaging if he were to actually lose this amount of people in a month. Well, let's just see. He'd have to lose 7,666 subscribers every day for the last 30 days. That is a lot of people hating on you. And that's a massive hit to his career, because those are people that are never going to watch his videos again. So it does hurt. Don't get me wrong. You want subs. It does hurt to lose them. But like I said, they're not the end-all be-all. If he were to maybe apologize, say I'm taking a break, step away for a few months, and then come back when the internet has settled down some and forgotten about this drama, he theoretically could maybe come back from this, but he's not going to do that because he doesn't think he's in the wrong. That would require him to admit that he's wrong. Also, for those of you who are interested in understanding the YouTube algorithm a little better, you know, maybe if you guys are interested in that, leave a comment, and I'll make a video trying to explain how YouTube's modern algorithm works. You probably won't like it, but I'll explain it. Anyway, back to Atozi.
For 100,000 followers on Twitch. Like, that is insane. It went from some awful World of Warcraft classic plays, which he refused to admit any fault to, and then he just like slowly cascaded into more and more small things that he messed up and wouldn't admit any fault to, because the WoW situation then turned into the stop killing game situation, which then brought the spotlight to his own video game and then another game studio that he used to be associated with called Off-Brand Games. Because as a month ago, he had to completely step back from that game studio, as he announced here. And Ludwig, who is one of the founders of that studio, thanked him for doing so. And that then brings us to Pirate's game called Heartbound. This game has been in production for a very long time, and Pirate has not been silent about criticizing other games in the past, like Undertale, who many claim his game has taken a lot of inspiration from.
Undertale is the best example of this. Undertale is made by Toby Fox. Undertale is a brilliant goddamn game. It's very good. It's also coded like shit. And that's fine. If you look at the decompiles that people have done of Undertale, you'll find that there are rooms that have hundreds of if statements checking the same value, then it sets it to 0, then it checks it again before doing anything. Meaning all of those if statements did nothing except for take processing power. There are sections of the game that show, like, oh, here's an example. All the dialogue in all of Undertale is in a single switch case.
Okay, so like he's admitting that his game's coded like shit then, but he's just defending it by saying this other game's coded like shit, so therefore my game can be coded like shit and it's fine. Like, bro, you've taken 10 years to get the game out. At this point, it's less about if the code is good or functions and more just about the fact that you're never releasing it. And it does matter if the game is coded poorly because it's just going to make you take longer to finish the game, which is probably why your game has taken 10 years. And also, for somebody like you who, you know, brags about working at Blizzard, it doesn't look very good that your game is coded like shit.
Statement in one object. It's thousands and thousands of cases long. Single object, all of the dialogue in the game. Hard-coded into that object. Insane. Insane behavior. But it doesn't matter. You can be bad at programming and make a brilliant game that changes the entire industry.
So obviously,
Yeah, but you literally market yourself as being this god tier programmer, this amazing dev, this coder or whatever. That's your entire persona. So it does matter here because you lied.
if you're talking like that, you better have some really good code when it comes to your game. And to even double down on that, Pirate went on to say that
Wait, what do you... No. He's talking like that saying that... No, I don't think... That doesn't make any sense, Tozy. He's saying that he doesn't need to have good code, and he's justifying it by saying because Undertale's code is bad, his code can be bad. He's also been on record now of saying that some of this code was done badly on purpose, which I just don't believe. But that's a whole different argument.
his game was uncrackable. You could not pirate his game, which someone proved to be wrong very quickly.
Yeah, they proved it wrong in like 60 seconds. They were able to pirate it or something. It's kind of funny.
In this pretty viral thread on Twitter, the user by the name of Peach2K2 pointed out that the code is messy and badly organized. It has lots of inconsistent formatting, confusing variable names, and missing comments make it hard to follow. Essentially, Peach here waved a red flag about Pirate Software's technical skills and professionalism when it comes to coding games. And this also caused more people from the game dev community to start looking into this guy's code. And this includes a guy that goes by Coding Jesus. And here he made a 14-minute video where he essentially says the code of his game is embarrassing.
Honestly, if I was claiming I'm a game developer with 20 years of experience, this would be embarrassing to have online.
So Pirate took offense to that, and he went on to claim that his game Heartbound, it was coded so well that it could run on a smart fridge to show its efficiency. But it turns out the game was allegedly ran on a PC and mirrored to the fridge screen.
It is irrelevant to increase performance on a game that runs on a smart fridge.
The day my devastating video on Pirate Software's slop lighting system dropped, he did an 8-hour cope stream, justifying the slop by referring to the fact that his game runs on a smart fridge. So let's analyze what's really going on. Here's the video of Heartbound running, quote-unquote, on a smart fridge. Let's rewind a little. What do we notice here? We notice that the game is actually being run on a laptop and streamed to the fridge using a Raspberry Pi device. If we zoom in a little closer, you can see it says connecting to HeartBridge, which is the name of the laptop and the hotspot connection he set up. In this case, the screen simply acts as a controller. Everything is running on the laptop, and the actual output is just being streamed back to the smart fridge. The fridge isn't computing anything itself. To emphasize this, here's a video of a washing machine running Death Stranding.
So when your game runs at perfect performance on a smart fridge inside of a Lowe's, come back and talk shit.
So Pirate made that video revolving the fridge, and we already saw Coding Jesus' response. So I guess, again, he made some weird response to try to make himself look like a genius. It's never that serious, and I'm very confused in why he's trying so hard to come across as like the smartest dude in the room. Because by trying to do so, he's kind of proving to the world that he's not that. I mean, the dude is just actively destroying his career live by continuing to double down rather than admit fault and fixing mistakes. Because, like, imagine if his response was, yeah, this is my first game, I'm trying my best here, thank you guys for supporting me, rather than allegedly staging this whole Best Buy refrigerator clip, which he only got caught doing because he was being sloppy, in a similar way that he got caught with the whole donation train thing. Either way, though, I mean, this dude is guilty of committing cringe, but under no circumstances should he nor anyone close to him be doxxed. But
No, and as I said earlier, don't dox people. Just don't do it, man. It's never justified. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to do it unless someone's like no, even then, like if someone's like trying to come after your life or something, go to the police. Don't dox them. Like, don't go. I mean, dox them to the police, but don't dox them to the public or whatever and draw more attention. Like, that's just not how you want to go about things, man. I mean, obviously that's an extreme case, but you don't dox people like content creators and stuff you don't like. Like, that's ridiculous. That's childish behavior. Don't do that. We're not talking about extreme cases here. We're talking about a guy who's getting hated on the internet. Very different.
But I mean, hey, at least he didn't get like $6 billion in contracts and build only half a house like Akon did in Africa, because that's just an insane story that I would recommend you guys checking out there. But other than that, hey, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like.
Maybe we'll cover that video in a future video. That sounds interesting. I don't actually know anything about this Akon guy, but that sounds very interesting. Anyway, that was a Tozy, and Pirate Software, yeah, he's cooked. 230,000 subs is a lot to lose. Yeah, I mean, as I said, the only way he's coming back from this right now is if Pirate turns around, says sorry, and just goes in hiding for like a couple months. I don't see how else he gets out of this. The situation is cooked, bro. It is so done. There is just not much that can be done beyond this point other than apologize and hide away and hope the internet forgets. Then maybe you could get your career back. But you need to rebrand, dude. You are going to have to rebrand yourself as who you really are and stop trying to act like you're some amazing developer. So, you know, this like people would be so much better if you were acting like, you know, they'd be so much happier with you if you were acting like yourself instead of just trying to pretend to be some godlike creature that you're not. Nobody is perfect. Even you're just rich and an Epo baby. And I know that pisses you off, but it's true. It's okay, though. It's all right, man. We don't think less of you for it. If anything, people are just jealous of you for it. Now, that was this. That was Pirate Downey Jr. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I know I said earlier that the subs don't matter, but they do matter, especially when the channels are brand new like this. Because obviously, if I ever want to get this channel monetized, I have to get it to at least 1,000 subs. And obviously, I want people to enjoy the videos, stick around and watch videos. So that's the most important part. You know, I want to build a community here where we destroy other communities in the nicest way possible without doxing or attacking them. Mainly their careers. That's what we mean. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. I'll see you guys again in the next one. Peace.